So first question, main question, what is fasting? So fasting is the absence of food, not having any food at all. And in this case, we're talking about water fasting. And I'll also touch on juice fasting as well, which I know a couple of you have done here. It is known as the oldest cure in the world. So long before we had antibiotics and all the different medications that we have today, people would just fast. If they weren't well or they were injured, they would actually be given the prescription of go and lay down, don't eat any food, and just rest the body. And that's really what fasting to me is all about. And I guess therapeutic fasting that we're talking about is to give the body a rest finally. So when it's digesting constantly, we're all shoveling food into our mouth at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And when you're fasting, you certainly notice around you how many people are shoveling food into their mouths. We're usually taking in far more than what the body actually even needs. It actually doesn't need that much food, but we are putting a lot of food into our mouth, and the body is either digesting food or it's healing itself. And so it can't do both at the same time. And so as long as you're digesting food, you're not healing. So there's a big difference between fasts and diets as well. And I know diets have been a big thing, and even religion, different religious orders and things like that will say, don't eat meat or only eat meat, fish on Fridays and things like that. Technically, they're actually diets. So diets are not the absence of food. They're actually cutting down on calories and maybe restricting a particular type of food or the number of calories that you're taking in, but you're still taking in some calories. And what that's doing is spiking your insulin, spiking your sugar levels, and it's also requiring digestion. So it's going to be a lot slower on a diet to actually have the effects that you can have on a fast, the healing effects of a fast. The other thing about diets is generally you'll start to put the weight back on again because you feel like you've taken food away from yourself and you want to have that again. Whereas on a fast, funnily enough, it's the opposite that actually happens. One, your metabolism speeds up when you're on a fast, and when you go back off a fast, your metabolism strangely has sped up. A lot of people say when you take food away, your metabolism slows down. On a fast, that's not true. And also, it's resetting your relationship with food. So on a diet, you're pretty much just giving the ego fodder for, you've taken food away, now I want it back again. It's that sort of little kid inside us all. But on a fast, I've found this, and many other people have found, that you'll actually start to reset that need, those cravings for sugar and fats and all those things, and you'll actually start to stop binge eating a lot more. And I know that, the difference that I've experienced actually is quite massive. Fasting is not starvation. Starvation is where people don't actually have food and there's no opportunity to get food. And so it's a very different mentality when you approach fasting. It's a very deliberate thing. You're going in knowing that you are not going to have food. And so that mentality that you take into that is really important. Intermittent fasting, there's different types of fasting, as I talked about. Intermittent fasting is a big one at the moment. A lot of people might be doing 16-8, which is a really big one. So you'll fast for 16 hours of the day and not have any food. And for 8 hours, you have a little 8-hour window and you'll eat within that time. 18-6 is another one. There's all different. You can do whatever you like, basically, within the 24-hour period. I normally do about 20 hours fasting and 4 hours of eating between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. at night. I find that works for me. Jodie needs a longer period of time. So again, just using your intuition when it comes to intermittent fasting. Juice fasts are also very big. And I know a couple of you said that you have done juice fasts. I'm going to go through the difference between an actual juice fast and a water fast in a little bit, so you can make a choice about which one suits you better. And partial fasts, which I said they're actually really just diets. They're not really fasts, because a lot of the time people are eating, even on Ramadan, people won't eat from, sun up to sundown. But after that, they're gorging themselves oftentimes on massive amounts of food. So to me, that would be a diet and not a fast. So they're quite different in the way that the body will react. And I know religious fasts are not really for healing as such. They're usually for connecting with the higher self. So here we're talking about extended therapeutic water fasting. So for extended periods of time, anything from 48 hours to 72 hours to 40 days if you wanted to do a water fast. And there's plenty of people that have done 30 and 40 days on a water fast. But the whole idea, as I said, of a fast is to give your body a break, a chance to catch up. Because when it's overwhelmed with so much food all the time and so much digestion that's going on, there isn't any healing or very little healing going on. And your body is just getting overwhelmed, which, funnily enough, leads to illness and sickness and things like that. So when we get things like cancers and tumors and all those sorts of things, the body just hasn't had a chance to catch up and do what it needed to do with the material that you were putting into it before the next lot of food came in. And it got overwhelmed. And of course, if you're taking in lots of chemicals and just the types of food that you're eating as well. And to me, fasting really is for prevention. We should be all fasting, taking times to fast before we get to the stage of needing to cure things. Because in a fast, you're healing 100% of the time. So you're taking away the whole digestion thing. Remember, you're either digesting or curing and repairing. So if we take the digestion away, we're actually healing 100% of the time, which is amazing for the body. And it's running 24/7. So is fasting even safe? Can I die on a fast? Fasting actually is really safe, but you've got to do it right. And the human body actually is really used to having fasting periods. Back in caveman days, there were often times we didn't have any food at all. And our human body has not changed all that much in that time genetically. So our bodies remember what it is like to fast. And it adapts very, very easily to a fast as well when there's no food coming into it. So normal weight people can easily fast for 40 days. When I say easily, they have the body fat to be able to fast for 40 days. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it is possible to fast 30 and 40 days unless you're anorexic and you've got very little body fat, because that's what the body is actually going to use as fuel. And we'll see that very shortly. But as you go along, you must ensure that your body gets what it needs. It needs certain things. And the main thing it needs is electrolytes, which is minerals, because they do so many important things, functions in the body. And without those, you really will be suffering as well. So we'll look at those and what you actually need to take in. What does it take to get results, to heal, to have all these healing and these great healing things that people have been talking about and that we're going to dive into? To me, fasting is 10% strategy and tactics, 90%, at least maybe 100% mindset. It's really important to have your mindset right and to make certain decisions before you dive into a fast, and we'll go through those in the tick, to really know why you're fasting, because you're going to come back to that. Your why is going to be really important as you go along. It's going to get hard at times. Just know that. Just if you accept that it will be difficult at times, then I think it's easier to go through. And there will be hunger and cravings and things like that. But they only last the first 2 or 3 days. So that's the good thing about it. So let's have a look at what actually is happening inside the body as we fast. So from the first 12 hours of not having any food, our digestion is starting to slow down. We're getting the food out of our body, and the glycogen, which is what the liver creates glycogen, and that's the energy source that we usually run on. So if you are not doing keto, I'm not talking about keto people. If you are doing keto, that's a very different thing, and I'll bring that up in a moment. People that are not doing keto are running on glycogen that's created by the liver. So what you'll start to experience in the first 12 hours, which is really amazing, is the human growth hormone starts to kick in. And that's responsible for anti-aging, fat burning, all your healing, supplying the muscles, rebuilding muscles and rebuilding all parts of the body, really. And so that kicks in really early. So in the next period there, by the time we get to the 18-hour period, what they call autophagy starts. So autophagy is basically the body starting to replace itself. So all the old damaged cells and the tissues and things that are not working anymore start to get to be replaced. The old proteins that that might sit in, if you've got moles and skin tags and things like that, that's excess protein that's actually sitting in your body. It doesn't know what to do with it. So it starts creating these little lumps and bits and pieces and lumps and bumps. And all those it's going to start using the protein from those things. It'll take it back out. So you'll find that skin tags and lumps and bumps start to disappear. I've had moles and things like that. They've actually been quite raised. I had one on my head that was quite raised here, and now it's completely flat after doing a water fast because the protein was taken back out of it. It's quite amazing to witness what's going on. And the plaque that sits in the brain, which can then lead to Alzheimer's and dementia, actually starts to be taken away as well and removed. And that's happening after 18 hours. That's pretty cool. So after a day, 24 hours, you really are starting to decrease the glycogen stores in your liver. and the body is starting to shift. Here is where you'll start to get headaches, feel pretty crap, because the body is switching from what it normally knows as its energy source into ketones, and ketones are burning fat. So the body will burn fat to create ketones, which feeds the body. So that's a good thing, is that it's going to start using the fat from your body. The ketones also suppress your appetite, and so you start to feel a little bit better. You're not craving food as much, and the inflammation in your body starts to really reduce, and it happens really quick. Where I broke my leg, it was definitely very swollen. I couldn't bend my leg very well. My knee only had a very short range of motion, and my ankle wasn't very good either. But I would say after 2 or 3 days, and I would say that was a pretty full-on inflammation and scar tissue and things that were going on, I pretty much had full range of motion back in my leg. So that was pretty amazing. So people that are on a keto diet already, you pretty much jump into the 24-hour time slot when you start, because you're already burning fat and your body's already creating ketones. So if you're on a keto diet, or you want to start a keto diet before you start fasting, that can be really beneficial. After 2 days, we're actually stimulating stem cells. So stem cells are actually cells that have not been given their life purpose. There's no mission for them yet. So they can go into any type of cell or tissue. They can be created into anything, basically, that the body needs. So they're really, really important. That's why stem cells are used for creating sheep and cloning sheep and different things. You're starting to get more healing and more repair, definitely more anti-aging. And again, those tumors, skin tags and things like that, they're all tumors, little small tumors. But if you've got bigger tumors and cysts, those sorts of things, they're going to start to be reduced, which is pretty cool. And at 72-hour mark, just 3 days, you're going to get more stimulation of stem cells. You're really going to start amplifying what the body is doing in terms of healing. It's basically going to replace the entire immune system in 3 days and heal more ailments. And the longer you go, pretty much you're going to have a new body out of it. Because if you go long enough on a water fast, the whole of your body will be replaced. All the cells and damaged cells will be gone, and you'll have brand new healthy cells. So it's pretty wild. So let's have a look at what people have reported, or doctors have reported that people have healed, because I think this is really important. So reduction or disappearance of damaged tissues, scar tissues, tumors and abscesses can disappear. Your whole immune system, as I said, is replaced in just 3 days, which is quite amazing. Your metabolism is fully restored to its optimum state, which is the opposite to having a diet and being on a diet. Your insulin resistance will lower, and type 2 diabetes can actually be healed on a fast if you go long enough, or you do enough fasting. Reduce chronic inflammation and swelling, which, I've experienced before, and I've got some photos of my ankle. I'm sure everyone's probably seen that by now, but it's pretty wild. And reduce symptoms of heart disease, cancers, autoimmune diseases, and rheumatoid arthritis. So anything that involves inflammation in the body, the symptoms can be dramatically reduced and actually cured over time as well. You're going to look and feel younger. Yay. People have reported longevity out of increasing with fasts, tons more energy, maybe not on the fast itself, but certainly afterwards I've experienced a ton more energy, and just the ability to exercise and recover from exercise so much more quickly, lift heavier weights and not tire during an exercise routine as well. So all of that is available too. Improved allergy symptoms, improved conditions for neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. And for those on chemo, improved body resistance to the chemicals and the poisons. So fasting, definitely if you have cancer or if you're going through chemo, you would want to be checking that it's okay to do that. It's not always appropriate to do fasting on that, but it definitely can help for sure. What about the mental side? The mental side probably is even more amazing than the physical attributes of the fast. So self-awareness is really elevated as the ego just seems to take a back seat. It's really quite strange how food seems to bring the ego out. And I've experienced this as well. It's like just the absence of the ego all of a sudden. You become more aware of your body and the processes it's going through. You can really actually feel what's going on inside for a change. You become more aware of your life. You sit there and contemplate and ponder things a lot more. You become in that sort of meditative state. You can see what your body likes and what it dislikes. You're putting food back into it. And if it doesn't like it and you're starting to feel sick, you can discard it and go, you know what, I'm actually done with that food now. Or just take little bits of it and keep it minimal. So you can have more self-confidence and certainty. And I found that I was tolerating bullshit a lot less in myself and other people. I was just really wanting to be authentic. It was just that real need for authenticity while I was on the fast, and since then too.
I will absolutely say that Nat was happier, which is weird.
No, it's true. Yeah, I definitely felt happy for no reason whatsoever. And prior to that, we'd been traveling. I'm talking about my last fast that I did. I finished a couple of weeks ago, 14-day water fast. And prior to that, we'd been traveling for 3 or 4 months, and I should have been in a great mood because I'm a traveler and I love traveling. But I really did feel myself, no, I wouldn't say depressed, but just in that real ho-hum, like whatever sort of space. And once I started fasting, total shift in my mood and my happiness levels. And I just felt joy. Like, I can honestly just say it was just joy coming through. And I was like, wow, everything's just amazing. Like,
Hannah's actually said you were incredibly serene when she visited us. So there's another word for you.
True. Yeah, that's it. Ability to think clearer. I definitely was finding that on my fasts. This whole content that I put in this masterclass and the course that I'm putting together was written in one day while I was on a fast. It was on the last few days of my fast, and I got up one day. Jodie said, why don't you put a fasting stuff together, because you really love it and you really like talking about it to everybody. And I was like, yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. So I just like brain dumped so much stuff. And intuition really was there as well. It was just flowing, completely flowing. Feelings of euphoria. I must say, when I came off my last fast, I felt really almost depressed. I wanted to get back on it. I don't know, there's something about being on a fast that just felt really good. And I really did feel that euphoria. Emotions were very stable. I didn't go through a lot of emotional upheaval. Some people do when they go through a fast, because when you burn fat, your emotions are stored in fat, and so you're releasing those emotions. I was having lots of weird memories about different things. I think I've done so much work on myself over the last 20 years that there probably wasn't a lot of emotions that I hadn't already addressed, but certainly some weird memories that I've not thought about for like 20, 30 years were coming up. It's very strange. Breaking the emotional eating dependencies and cravings. This was a big one for me. I am a massive sugarhead. And thanks to our family, we're all a bit like that. So it was really nice to break that and not have, now I don't find myself wanting to go back to it either. So it really does feel like it's broken. And I'm sure the more fasting that I do, the less that's even going to be there at all. And a greater ability to handle stress. Can't say that's really one for me, because I don't feel like we have a massively stressful life anyway. But so this is my experience. Here's some crazy photos. This is actually from my last fast that I did. I did 7 days of juice fasting. So a couple of days before the water fast and a couple of days after, and the 14-day water fast in the middle. So it was about 21 days in total. So I lost about a pound a day, which is about on average. If you're in average body shape, you're going to lose about a pound of fat a day, which is very cool. Some people would say that it's water weight. There might be some of that mixed in as well. Strangely, if you're actually having a water fast, well, you'll actually lose water in the first place. But yeah, it mainly is fat, because that's what it's burning. The ketones are burning fat. So you can see the difference here. One of the big ones, though, that, as I said, it wasn't really my goal was to lose tons of weight, but it certainly was to heal my ankle and my knee. And this was the swelling I used to have. My mom has very bad circulation, and so we tend to have that in the family. And she's just had another varicose vein operation at the age of 80. So it definitely is not great in our family. And that was another reason why I really wanted to go into that fast, was to break some of these hereditary ailments and conditions that are obviously in our genes. And you can do that with enough fasting as well. So this was my ankle previously in January, and it came out not too bad. There is still some swelling here on the sides, but definitely nothing like it was previously of doing the fast. Fasting, don't forget, is not a cure in itself. Fasting allows the body to be in a state where it heals itself. The body is tending towards health. It wants health. And and it wants to be healthy, but we just keep shoveling food into our mouths the whole time that it doesn't get a chance to do that. So you're giving the body optimal state to do its own thing, for Mother Nature to come in and actually heal itself. And so, yes, just about anything, I feel, can be healed. There's a video of somebody that had stage 4 cancer that, if anyone is interested in that, I can give them the link to that video. Fascinating interview with a guy that was on stage 4 cancer, testicular cancer, and actually healed himself through fasting. So I feel that just about anything can be healed. Famous fasters. Yeah, Hippocrates, which is one of the 3 founders of Western medicine, or modern medicine, as they would say. And he said to eat when you are sick is to feed your sickness. So, and I 100% agree with that. And you'll find that's why the body actually doesn't really crave much food when you're not well. When you've got the flu, you tend to just want to hunker down and not really eat anything. And that's the body telling you it just wants to fast. It actually wants to heal as fast as possible. And the best way to do that is not to add food to it, where it has to digest the food as well. Pericles is another father of modern Western medicine. There's 3 of them. Fasting is the greatest remedy with a physician within, allowing the body to actually do its own healing and be its own doctor. Plato, who was an ancient Greek philosopher and writer, many of us probably know Plato's work. I fast for greater mental and physical efficiency. And he also required his students to also fast. To actually study under Plato, his students actually had to fast as well, because he knew what the benefits of it were to the mind and mental clarity that would come from that, and the ability to tap into the intuition at that point. And Pythagoras, if you've done any high school maths, you'll know Pythagoras' theorem. Not that you probably remember what it is, but he systematically starved for 40 days before his infamous exam at Alexandria, believing that it increased the mental perception and creativity. And now, since then, these are ancient scholars and philosophers that were doing these things and tapping into fasting. Now we have science to back it up and go, actually, you were spot on, like 100% on the money of why you were actually fasting for, and the mental clarity that comes with that. Actually now has science behind it. So yes, it was actually true. Jesus Christ, Buddha, and the Prophet Muhammad also believed in the healing power of fasting as well, and they were known for fasting. So there's a lot of people that have fasted over the years and over the centuries, and so you are amongst amazing minds and scholars when you fast, and you can see why. Once you're on a fast, you'll understand the depth of that. All right, so I've been saying that there's 5 phases to fasting, just to break it down. And the first one probably is the most important one, and that's actually making some decisions about what sort of fast you're going to be doing and how long that's going to be, and why you're fasting. The next part is the pre-fast. So we can break that down into a couple of stages so that we're easing our way into fasting. Don't do what I did in Canada a couple of years ago and actually just stop eating one day and start fasting for 5 days. That was the most horrid experience ever. It's just like ridiculous headaches the entire time. So we want to make this enjoyable as much as healthy. So there are a few hacks to do that. And I came up with a few hacks, or, I've read about a few hacks over the time, and I wanted to bring those in as well and give you those, because I felt that they really helped on the fast as well. And they make it more effective and a little bit easier for you. Refeeding is coming back into food. And this is a really important phase, because if you stuff that up, that's where you're going to pour your weight back on. So people that say, I took all the weight off in a fast and then I put it all back on again, that's probably because they didn't actually enter into feeding again in the right.
It's not even just the weight aspect. You can get really sick. Like
Yes.
If there's going to be any danger to fasting, it's generally that part where it's like, can't wait to get my big roast dinner or my 3 hamburgers and all my trimmings. And it's like, no, your machine has just had a full grease and oil change as such. It needs to slowly come back online with working out how to work the digestion again. Otherwise, it'll just clog up and you can get really sick from it.
Yeah, you can feel really sick. And even myself, who went back very, very slowly into feeding on this last fast, actually have had a few things. And I've said to Jodie, oh, I don't feel very well now. I have to go and lay down. Was it too soon? I don't know. Maybe it was just foods that I shouldn't be having anymore. I don't know. Like but it definitely is a very important phase, that breastfeeding phase. And then, of course, talking about the lifestyle aspect of fasting. This is not just a one-off, I'm going to do it for a week or two and then that's it, I'll never do it again. Bringing fasting into your lifestyle so that you don't have to cure things. You're actually preventing things before they even start. So to me, that's actually even more important than the curing that can happen on a fast. All right, so let's have a look at the decisions to be made. Should I be fasting? So there's some people that shouldn't be fasting at all. Individuals with eating disorders, or if you're severely underweight, that's because we're actually using the fat from the body to fuel the body during a fast. It's using fat to turn into ketones. So if you're severely underweight, you're not going to have that amount of fat that it needs. And so you just have to be very careful of fasting. Pregnant women, newborns, and young children, probably self-explanatory. Extreme athletes who are in season. The main reason for that, or anybody that's actually working out or wanting to work out, do lots of weights, and they're in a regime of that and they don't want to break that, I would not suggest doing fasting, because the body, for explosive exercises like lifting heavy weights or fast running, requires glycogen in the liver, and fat is not enough to be able to supply that sort of energy that the body needs or the muscles need in that sort of exercise. So you're going to find that fasting is not very appropriate for you. Individuals with type 1 diabetes who are insulin dependent, you have to be just very careful of fasting because of the effects that it has on insulin levels. People on meds that I mentioned before, if you require food while you take your meds, you just need to be a little bit careful of that and come up with some other strategies that you can work in. And individuals on different medications for diabetes, anti-seizure meds, and so those sorts of steroids. So anything that impacts the blood sugars, you have to be very careful of as well. All right, the big question, should I juice fast or should I water fast? I'll go through this and then I'll tell you my thoughts on what I feel is the best thing. So a juice fast obviously can be mentally a lot easier than water fasting, because you feel like you're taking something in and you're getting some nutrients and vitamins still, which is terrific. The idea of having juice over, say, a smoothie where you've put a whole apple in and a whole banana and a whole orange and mixed it all up together, the whole idea of having juice is that you're taking the fiber out. So a juice fast, even though you're not taking in any fiber, you are still digesting. It is taking energy away from your healing to digest that juice. It also spikes your insulin and your blood sugars, so that can keep you out of ketosis as well. So ketosis is the part where we're burning fat. And if that's important to you, then you might consider not doing a juice fast and doing a water fast instead. If you're doing intermittent fasting, I would do intermittent fasting as well. So if you're going to do a juice fast, I would only have juice for an hour or two a day in that window. And you don't need a lot of juice either. We're only talking like a liter or two. We're not talking you drink nothing else other than juice. So it really is a water fast with a little bit of juice thrown in to make you feel a bit better. So a juice fast does take longer to achieve the same results, the same healing results as a water fast, and the same weight results as well. A water fast is the fastest way to heal the body. It will get you into ketosis as fast as possible, and it will actually keep you there. So you're burning more fat, you're losing more weight, the blood sugars are balanced, and you're going to start to have less insulin resistance. So it's going to start to heal that, whereas a juice fast probably won't do that. It's balancing the blood out a lot more, and it fully rests the body on a water fast. So yes, it can be mentally tough the first few days, but as Jodie said before, it is only the first few days, and then you're going to start to cruise along a lot easier. My strongest recommendation would be to water fast over juice fast. If you feel like you can't jump into a water fast, then juice fasting is a great way to start for sure. But I found I wanted to juice fast, and I went for a day or two, and a lot of people report the same thing. You go for 2 or 3 days maybe on juice, and then you go, you know what, I am so sick of juice right now. I just want a water fast. And so you actually decide to go to a water fast after that. It's actually really hard to stay on a juice fast because the amount of sugars that's coming into the bloodstream and the amount of sweetness, that everything tastes really sweet when you're on a juice fast, and you get a little bit over it after a while. So just something to keep in mind.
So let's say, you decide you're going to do that 3-day fast. perhaps your first time, do a juice day, do a water day, do a juice day. And then either side of that might be the smoothie. So it's like it's a smoothie, a juice, a water, a juice, a smoothie type of thing coming in and out. But we're going to talk a lot more about that kind of, is it a 3-day, a 5-day, a 7-day? And, have they got those buffers or those brackets wrapped around with some juice while you can try to get that maximum benefit of the water in the middle of it all?
Which brings us to, how long should I fast for? So as I said, the average human body can tolerate about 40 days of water fasting. Anything over about a 3-day fast, you probably should have some degree of supervision or be checking in with someone that's fasted before, just to make sure you're okay. But the body will actually preserve muscle as long as it possibly can, because muscle is really important to survival. If we think back that the body hasn't changed that much since caveman days, when we were running away from prey, we needed muscles. So the body is not going to use muscle. It will only use it as the last resort. And so it will burn as much fat as it can. So funnily enough, when you're fasting, you're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to get really slim. And you do. But then a lot of people still got that podgy stomach, like it just won't go, because the body is using the fat around the organs first. That's the most dangerous fat that you carry, is that, can't remember the word, something fat in your organ, around your organs. So it's going to take that first. So it doesn't look like you've lost a lot of fat to start off with. And then eventually it's going to start pulling fat from other areas that is a little more aesthetic. So if you wish to fast for longer, than a couple of days, and you're really trying to heal something, then definitely get some supervision over that. Or do shorter fasts, but then do more of them, which is what Trav's doing now, which is fantastic, like doing more regular fasts. Because don't forget, fasts accumulate with each other, they compound, and they're exponential. So the more fasting you're doing, you're exercising, it's almost like a muscle. You're exercising your fasting muscle, and the body knows that, oh, I'm going back into fasting mode now, and now it's healing mode again, and it'll do it a lot quicker. So the more you fast, the better off you're actually going to get at fasting. But it really comes down to your own intuition. What sort of things are you trying to heal? Why are you fasting in the first place? What do you want? Are you trying to lose weight, or are you trying to do other things that heal the body? So then that would determine how long your fast should be for. So if you think about the first couple of days is actually the body adjusting itself and trying to get into the healing mode, you probably want to do something about 3 days or longer to really get those. So the longer you go, the more healing you're going to have, and the more things that are going to happen inside the body. Again, just use your intuition to guide your own process. You'll know when to stop. Your body will tell you. So you'll really know when it's time that you're finished, when you've actually, or if you've healed everything that you wanted to heal in that particular round of fasting, or your appetite returns and you just feel like it's time to eat again. And I'm not talking head, oh my God, I just feel like a hamburger right now. I'm talking about your body saying it's time to eat now again, and to come back off this. So you will know that because you'll tune into that.
Can I just quickly add that story about me and bananas? I'm not the biggest banana fan on the planet, but coming out of my 5-day fast, I literally could not think of anything but a banana. It was like, I need to have a banana. So I feel like, and it takes somebody like Nat to know that I'm not a big banana eater, but it was like, I felt like I was more in tune with my body to say, okay, obviously I need potassium. And that was the first thing that I ate to break my fast, was a banana.
That is weird. knowing Jodie. So when should you fast? There's never going to be a great time to fast. Everyone's busy. Everyone's got 1,000 things on. I really feel like you just need to block out a time in your calendar, make the commitment, and just do it. Get on with it. Don't get to a point where it needs to be a cure and not prevention. Certainly in the first couple of rounds, we might be curing things from a lifetime of abuse and getting up to no good. But after that, then do it regularly, so it is a preventative thing as well. And you really do have to block it out of your calendar, let everybody know you're doing it. Sometimes they're not as happy as, oh, what am I going to eat? Or how are we going to make this work? Or blah, blah, blah. You just got to go with it. Just go, no, I'm doing this. Or get them onto it. Get them fasting as well. That's even better. Should I work while I'm on a fast? This is a good question. So many people do continue on with their life. There's no reason why you shouldn't continue. You might find it difficult in the beginning, as we said, the first 2 or 3 days. So I would give yourself space in that time. And my way of doing that, if you're working, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 type thing, not everybody's doing that. But if there's a chunk of time where you're not working, and so for some people it will be from Friday night until Monday morning, then start your fast on Friday night after dinner. After you get home, have some dinner, finish off, and then that's it. So you're going to have those first couple of days that are probably the worst and you don't feel so great, actually on a weekend when you're not trying to manage a whole bunch of things, and clear your schedule as much as possible. Fast is about rest. It's not just about resting the digestion, it's about rest overall, because we just never do this for our body and for ourselves. So take the time to rest. Once you've hit that 3-day mark, you'll be in ketosis and you're going to feel 100% better. The body loves being in ketosis. It loves the energy and the fuel of fat to fuel itself. And so you're going to be fine after that. You're going to have a clearer head after that as well. So you're going to be able to get into work a lot more. Exercise. Should be doing any exercise while you're fasting. Again, the idea of a fast is to rest the body. So yes, you want to be doing some movement, because don't forget, a fast is releasing a whole bunch of toxins that you've probably never released before. Even on a cleanse, you're probably not releasing toxins as much as you do on a fast. It's very thorough in getting through the toxins. So you don't want to be doing heavy exercise like weights and all that sort of stuff where you're taking energy to heal your muscles again. Because if you're doing plenty of weights and you're doing massive runs and things like that, then you're damaging your muscles and your body's going to have to go and heal that before it can come back to healing everything else that you're trying to heal on a fast. So definitely move. You want to be doing some movement, but don't do heavy exercise. And you're not going to be able to do it anyway, because as I said, the glycogen in the liver is just not there anymore. The muscles don't have glycogen to do these explosive type exercises. But things like yoga and Tai Chi and things like that just get into all the joints, perfect for being on a fast. How will I handle home life and socializing? This is a big one. And a lot of people talk to me about this when I was on the fast as well, because we actually had tons of socializing when I was on my last fast. It was amazing how many people we had passing through our hometown. My way of approaching it is try and keep it as normal as possible, because I really found that if I was trying to make it a big thing, or it was a big thing, and I was trying to be different to everybody else, then the ego grabbed hold of that. And it was really making it into a really big thing. It was making it even bigger than what I was, making it out to be. So I felt like just keeping it as normal as possible, helping Jodie with meal prep and being involved in that process, because that's what I would normally be doing, going shopping for groceries, because that's what I would normally do.
Hannah just reminded us, Nat, that you actually cooked a meal for the group of us while they were visiting us.
I cooked pizzas for people, and pizza's one of my downfalls, particularly homemade ones. I love them. So it was quite funny because Hannah's mum was there as well. And she goes, "Oh, you didn't come out," sort of thing. And I said, "No, because I didn't want to be there while you ate it, because I knew that was going to be really difficult for me. But I was happy to make it, funnily enough," which was really strange, because it was just sort of this disconnect of just making food for everybody that was there. Yeah, I think you just need to manage it. If that works for you, that worked for me. I'm just trying to keep it as normal as possible. If you feel like you just need to remove yourself completely from life and from meal preps and shopping and people eating around you and things like that, you've got to do what feels true for you and follow that. But I would, if I was you, entertain the idea of trying to keep it pretty normal. Always have everything you need on hand. If you're doing bottled water, make sure you've got that. I'm going to talk to you about making veggie broth shortly as a little hack. Make sure you've got that on hand. Make sure you've got what you need, so you're not running out, like suddenly you're thinking, "Oh crap, like I'm actually really starving and now I don't have anything. I need to go out to the shops." Go out and socialize. I did. One thing that I did make sure that I did was have plenty of water before I went out, because if there was any time that I was hungry, it was because I hadn't had enough water. So by topping up, a couple of liters of water even before I went out, or having water while I was out, mineral water and things like that, really did help, because when you're hungry, that's the worst. That's definitely when you're out. But also be conscious of what comes up. And it was really interesting while I was sitting there with different people eating, of just observing how much food people actually eat. It wasn't just, maybe people I was with, but observing other people or watching TV and watching people eat on TV. And it's like, holy crap, we eat a lot of food. And it just made me really appreciate that. And I was like, what, maybe I don't need that much food now. Maybe I only need like one main meal a day and a little snack after that. And funnily enough, that's pretty much all we eat now. That new movement that's coming in of one meal a day. is a pretty big movement. And I sort of agree with it in some ways. And we are starting to live a little bit more like that as well. So it was interesting to see the gluttony of people around me. And it's like, wow, this is what I'm normally like. And I probably don't need to be like that at all. So it's pretty cool. The big question, and I'm going to get some feedback here. Jodie, you can read out some stuff. I want you to really think, now that you know of all the stuff that can happen on a fast and the healing that can take place and the weight loss that can take place, why do you want to fast? Like, what would motivate you to fast? And you don't have to just have one thing, could be a whole bunch of things, but put in the chat, and Jodie can do a little readout. As I said, the last fast that I did, the last water fast, was to really start breaking that hereditary predisposition for ailments, because our dad's really quite healthy, but mum has got probably about 40 or 50 things that she has. And I'm not kidding when I say that. She's near 80 now. She's just about to have her 80th birthday. And she's just in pain the whole time. She's at the doctor's constantly. If she's not at the doctor's, she's at the hospital for something. Like, it just goes on and on and on with medical stuff. And I just went, you know what? I'm done. I don't want that. I don't want to carry that into my older age. I'm already starting to show signs of things. I feel like I've got varicose veins happening at the back of my leg that was broken. And I was like, if I can fast, I don't know if it'll work. It hasn't 100% worked yet, but I think it's helped. But if I can fast and try and get rid of that, then that's exactly what I'm going to do.
So I know that Nikki had made mention about the hereditary, breaking the cycle kind of thing. Nikki, if you do feel to share, and just while you're getting unmuted there, Carolina's saying total body reset, more clarity and intuition. Hannah is healing, anti-aging, weight loss, mental clarity, less pain, aches, stiffness, varicose veins. Yes. So Nikki, you've got mum stuff as well.
Yeah, my mum turns 70 this year, which is not a very old age, but she's struggled with ailments probably since she was early 50s, which is the age I am now. And every time I see her, the one thing I take away from it, as much as I love being with my mum, we have a good relationship, but the one thing that I take away from it is I don't want to be like my mum. And it's awful. You hate yourself for saying it, but it's like some of the things that she's suffering from are hereditary. And I've got the asthma, arthritis, all those sorts of things. So for me, if I can do anything to not go down the same path that she's gone down, then I will do. And that's my biggest sort of, I mean, I'm a foodie. I love food. I love cooking for people. I love, ingredients. I love sourcing ingredients. I live, breathe, and eat food. You guys know that. And it's, for me, doing something like this almost takes away a part of me. And that's one thing that I'm scared about too.
No, I totally get that. Yeah, I think there's ways around it to make it easier, Nikki. And so, yeah, I will talk about a few of those things. So there is a lot of prep to get to a fast, but doing the prep will make it a lot easier for you. It's a lot less taxing on the body. I've done a 5-day water fast before with no prep whatsoever and no daily rituals, which I'm about to talk to you about. And it was painful and probably almost downright dangerous the way I was doing it. So definitely the prep stage will help with the headaches and just the general things that you're feeling. So daily rituals are really now, once we're on the fast, is going to be the difference between a good and successful fast and another fast that's really horrible and horrible experience. So there's 4 ways to eliminate toxins and waste from the body, and these become really important. And that's through respiration, perspiration, urination, and defecation. So because the fast is actually pulling out toxins from your body at a very rapid rate, you need to be dumping them. You need to get them out of your body. And the daily rituals are going to make sure that you're doing that at the pace that your fast is doing it. Because if you're ever going to get a headache or feel really nauseous or very tired on a fast, it's because you've got toxin buildup and it hasn't come out yet. So we want to make sure that we're trying to keep pace with the fast. So keeping track of your daily rituals is definitely one way to make sure that you keep doing them. And in the course that I'm putting together at the moment, I'm using Notion, which is what I used for my fast. And I found it really good. A spreadsheet basically of all the things that I would do on the fast each day. And I would just tick and flick as I went along. Some days I didn't do different things. You can see that I didn't do some of my breathing exercises. But I was making sure that I was, probably more than anything, making sure I got enough water. It's really important to have enough water, and some of the different rituals here that I'm going to go through as well. This is probably one of the most important phases, really. This is where you start to secure your results from the fast and get back into eating. So it is almost more important than the fast itself. Now you're fasted, definitely at least keep going with intermittent fasting. Your body's going to find it so easy to intermittent fast after fasting. It's just like a natural thing for it to want to do. And it's going to keep the weight off, and the benefits of the fast that you've already done is going to keep going. So coming off my last fast, I lost in 21 days, which includes 7 days of juice and 14 days of water, I lost 22 pounds, and I've only put 1 kilo, so that's 2 pounds back on, which I would say is food in my gut. So when I weighed myself at the end of 3 weeks, I obviously had no food whatsoever in my system. And so to put just 1 kilo of weight on, which is the amount that's probably just going through my system at any one time, is pretty amazing. To me, that's testament of coming out of the fast really well, and not eating crazy stuff. Intermittent fasting at 24 each day, or as close to that as I can get, and just really eating lots more fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. So you can keep the weight off. You don't have to go back to putting it all back on again. That's a diet. A fast should actually reset your whole system, so you don't have that. A good intermittent fast time is 18:6. 18 is that sort of nice sweet number where we start to get stem cells actually being produced in the body, and that's really healing for the body. It also helps your body get into autophagy each day, and that's the replacement of the cells and tissues. So we're tossing out all the old stuff and we're replacing it with the new stuff. So that's a really good way to keep doing that. Ritualize yourself. Keep going with some of the daily rituals. They're awesome. Keep those going if that feels right for you. These are great ways to keep detoxing the body, and not, as I said, when you're going to get diseases and ailments and conditions when the body gets overrun with too much stuff going on in it. If you can keep it clear just through prevention and some of these practices, then you're going to feel tons better. Whether you actually do an extended fast or not, doesn't matter. Weekly, you could look at a 40-hour fast every 1 or 2 weeks. And again, 22 hours of autophagy, recycling of old cells on a 40-hour fast, and 12 hours of stem cell production. Fantastic for the body, really good. And quarterly extended fasting. So if you can do 5 or 10 days every quarter or so, that's really going to reset your whole process. You might do longer than 10 days. You might think, oh, this is really cool, and do 14, 20 days. It's going to do wonders for prevention and cleaning up your system, replacing your immune system, because that happens after 3 days, don't forget. Helps your digestion and weight control. And you're going to come out with new bodies each time. So that's it. That's fasting in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Nat. Awesome job. Thanks, everyone, for being here and contributing.
Thank you for being here. It was lovely to talk about something I'm very passionate about.